this is Aunt Cheri for Crafty Time with Aunt Cheri from djsundry.blogspot.com, and welcome to week 5. Now, for the kids, first of all, I want you to know I'm not adding a new Bible verse this week because I want you to review the Bible verses that we've already learned. We've learned Proverbs 20:11. We've learned Romans 3:23, Romans 6:23, and John 3:16. And that's a lot of learning if you've been able to keep up. And if you haven't, maybe this will help you catch back up a little bit. And if you have, will just help you review them. So I want you to not worry about having a new verse this week. So this is week 5, as we mentioned, and today we're going to do something that I used to do with Elisa and Heath, only a little differently. We used to do Shrinky Dinks, only we had a special oven for it. But you know what? You can do Shrinky Dinks at home in your own oven. So for all of my little people, I have sent you the stuff to do it. Now, the reason I put this off for a while is because I've had some issues, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. There are different kinds of Shrinky Dinks out there for those of you who are not familiar with Shrinky Dinks. This is actual Shrinky Dink. I picked this up at my local Michael's, and I actually picked it up on a clearance rack, and this is a variety pack, and it has different colors in it. The one that we'll be using today is this frosted one. Now, for my little people, most of you didn't get frosted ones. Most of you got clear ones, and they probably look something like this right now. And I am really sorry. What happened is when I did my Shrinky Dinks, it said if you sanded it, I used this other brand that I picked up, and it was clear. And you can trace it, you can color it, you can stamp it, but if it's the clear and the slick, it doesn't stamp real well. So you're supposed to scrape it with sandpaper, and I did that, and this is the way mine looks now. So one thing that I learned for the moms out there, if you're going to stamp on this, you can go ahead and stamp on this clear, but use Stays On ink. It works much better. So that's what I did. I went back over and restamped this one. Now for my kids, I'm going to show you something to do to try to clean that up a little bit. But if you're using the clear plastic, you need to use acrylic paints or paint pens or permanent markers. And I didn't realize that when I purchased it, and so I thought we could do it with colored pencils, and you cannot. However, this frosted kind, you can do colored pencils on, and it colors up beautifully. And I'll show you one that I've done right now. So we are going to get out our Shrinky Dink stuff. So pull out, for the kids, even though this is week 5 of videos, you'll find the Shrinky Dinks in week 4's bag because we skipped a week. I used this kite from Kite Tails by October Afternoon, and the kite and the kite tail itself is 2 different pieces. And you can see it didn't come overly clean. It stays on, doesn't clean up real well, but it does stick to this plastic. So let's pull out our shape. Now, each of you should get a kite. And what I did is I stamped the kite, and then I already cut a hole in it. And so if yours is all faded like mine is, you can still see the lines. So if you take a black marker, you can trace over that. But if you do that, you're going to want to let it dry once you trace over it, because what will happen is it will smear if you touch it. So be really, really careful, because you will make a mess. And if you don't have paper on your table when you're doing this, you probably ought to stop the video as well and ask your mom to get some paper on your table. Now, kiddos, if you can't see this image, if it's faded so much that you can't see it, ask your mom to kind of look it over, and she can trace it in. It's a really simple shape, so she won't have any problem doing that if it's a little bit too hard for you to do. So this is similar to what the kite should look like. I'm going to just set that aside so it can dry so I don't smear it, and we are going to color it. Now, I have lots of markers here. Well, I have 4 markers, so I think I'm going to put that one away. So now I have 4 markers. I have a purple and a hot pink and a yellow and a green, and that's what I'm going to color my plastic in. So we're going to start. Now you want to use the side that feels kind of rough. That's the side that I stamped on, and you're just going to color it. Now be really careful, because like I said, even with the permanent markers, until it dries, it will get your fingers all inky. And so be really careful. But once the permanent markers dry, you should be okay. Now, just so you know, moms, I don't know for sure but I don't think that regular Crayola markers will work on this project. I think you probably really need to get permanent markers. I use these Bic markers, which are fairly inexpensive. I just picked them up at Walmart in the office supply section. And that, like I said, they're fairly inexpensive. And they do a good job. You could also use Sharpies if you have Sharpies, and they do would probably do a good job as well. And I think we're going to end up with more purple on here than anything else, but I'm okay with that. So as you see, I am just coloring in some of my shapes and giving it lots of color because this is kind of a fun project and I want it to have lots and lots of color. Now moms, if you're watching, I will put instructions on the slide when I pause the video for your oven, and I will tell you exactly what temperature to put your oven on and how long to cook these, or how long I end up cooking them. What will happen, this is really cool, it will go into your oven and it will shrink and it will get a lot thicker, and then we'll make something fun out of it. So I've got that colored. Now let me show you the frosted one that I bought later. And a couple of you, I will be sending some of these because I know you don't have permanent markers, but this is the frosted one, and it colored up beautifully with my not watercolors, with my normal colored pencils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a cookie sheet. Now if you have parchment paper, what you need to do is you need to put parchment paper, or I think I'm going to try a brown paper sack. You need to put that on your cookie sheet. Now for those of you that have the nice clay cookie sheets, don't use those, just use your cheap cookie sheet. I'm going to put some brown paper down. If you have parchment paper or whatever you have that can go in the oven, you're going to put that down. Then I'm going to put my shapes on it, and then I am going to put another piece of paper over the top, because as it shrinks and curls, it might curl on top of itself, and that paper will help keep it from doing that. So that's how I'm going to prep my pans, and then when we come back I'll tell you how long I did it and at what temperature. Okay, so I'm back, and can you believe how much those shrunk? Look at this. This is the original size, and this is the size that it is now. But it's also really super strong. You could break it, so be careful. I don't want to break it. Now, I sent you some of these to make necklaces out of your little kites. Unfortunately, the hole is just a tiny bit too small to do that with. It won't quite fit. So moms, if you have some string laying around, I have some string I'm going to add. Let's see, sitting right here. And you could just use whatever kind of string you have, but this does make a pretty small hole after it's shrunk down. I used the biggest hole punch on my hole punch maker when I cut these, and it should have been just a tad bit bigger. But you see, I can run this string through there, and then I would have a necklace to wear. There's other things you could do with this too. You could put them on a card, you can put them on decorations, but what I decided I wanted to do with you guys was have you do it on necklaces. So mom, find some string lying around the house, or some thread or something, and run it through, and your kids can have a necklace, or they can shorten it up and turn it into a bracelet. But unfortunately, this lacing that I sent isn't going to work. So there we have today's projects, little Shrinky Dink kites. There's so many fun things you can do with these, and if you find some at the store, you can really use them. But remember, the best kind for you to use is to get the frosty kind, because you can just use your colored pencils on it and they don't smear as much. Plus, look how pretty the colors really show up on that one, more so than the colors show up on these other ones. So I really recommend using the plastic frosted kind. Now, what I did to put these in the oven is I put them down on brown paper, and it's at 325 degrees, and it was only about between 2.5 and 3 minutes. I would check it after 2 minutes. It does not take it long to shrink, moms. So keep an eye on it, and be sure, kiddos, that you don't touch it while it's hot. Have your mom help you with the oven part, okay? So I love you all, and come back next week and we'll have another fun project. See you later. Bye.